Don't overthink it. Choose the file that calls to you. Timestamps are below when you are ready. The Hecate's wheel, the solar cross, the butterfly. What immediately caught my attention in this casting is that none of these charms landed in isolation. Each one is touching more than one area on the board. It's about how everything is connected. Physical and emotional well-being, self and support, spirit, intuition, and personal growth. The first charm I was drawn to is Hecate's wheel. The symbol reminds us that life moves in cycles. We all go through periods of growth, uncertainty, change, and discovery. It's touching both the physical and emotional areas of the board. What affects us emotionally eventually affects us physically. What affects us physically eventually affects us emotionally. This suggests someone who has been carrying something for quite some time. A decision, a burden, a period of uncertainty. And that wheel reminds us that no season lasts forever. You are moving through a transition, not remaining in it. The second charm is the solar cross. Traditionally, it speaks about harmony, balance, and bringing the different parts of life back into alignment. What stands out is that it falls between self and support. This feels like someone learning that strength doesn't always mean carrying everything alone. Sometimes balance comes from knowing when to rely on yourself, and sometimes it comes from allowing support to exist around you. There is a shift happening here from survival towards stability, from managing everything alone toward creating a healthier balance between independence and connection. And then we have the butterfly. The butterfly represents personal growth and transformation. But again, notice where it landed. Trust your intuition, spirit, embrace. Something is awakening within you. A deeper understanding of who you are, a deeper trust in yourself. This butterfly is asking you to stop looking outside yourself for every answer, because the next step may not arrive through logic alone. It may arrive through intuition, through stillness, through trusting what you already know. Now let's see what Tarot has to say. Two of Pentacles reversed, Judgment reversed, the Emperor. Six eyes, one truth. Sometimes we build our fears up to be giants, with many eyes and teeth, when in reality they are but illusions waiting to be understood. Like a great towering creature, fear can seem overwhelming at first, but when we sit with it, calmly and without resistance, we see its true face. The more we face it, the more we realize fear is often afraid of us, not the other way around. In this moment, you are the one who holds the power. Let your calmness speak louder than its roar. 6 eyes, 1 truth. The first card is the Two of Pentacles reversed. This is very, very good. And immediately I think back to the solar cross. Because the Two of Pentacles upright appears in the reading when we are trying to keep too many things in motion at once, juggling responsibilities, priorities, juggling expectations. But in reverse, that juggling can no longer continue. Something has to change. Something has to be reorganized. Something has to come to balance. Then we see Judgment reversed. I see this as hesitation. The call has already been heard, but part of you may still be questioning it, doubting it, wondering if you're really ready. This connects beautifully to the butterfly sitting between intuition and spirit, because the answer is already trying to reach you. The challenge you are facing is trusting it. And then we have the Emperor. What a powerful place for this reading to end. Because the Emperor doesn't ask who is going to rescue him. He takes responsibility for his direction. He doesn't ask who will make the decision for him. He becomes the decision. He trusts his judgment. He builds the structure needed for the next chapter. And then we have our Oracle card. 6 eyes, 1 truth. I love this card because it speaks directly to the experience many people are having right now. Looking at something from every possible angle, trying to understand every outcome, every possibility, every risk. 6 eyes searching for certainty, but only 1 truth. And that's exactly what I see throughout the entire spread. Hecate's wheel says, you are moving through a season of change. The solar cross says balance is being restored. The butterfly says transformation is already underway. The Two of Pentacles says the juggling is ending. Judgment reverse says you are learning to trust what you already know. And the Emperor says you are stepping into your own authority. If there is one message in this entire spread, it is this. The fear may look bigger than the truth, but the truth is stronger than the fear. Let your calmness speak louder than its roar, because the version of you that knows what to do is already here. Dove, lightning, triple horn of Odin. What I see here is that every charm connects to relationship in some way. Support, family, self, emotional well-being. This feels like a reading about the people around us and the relationships that shape our lives. The first charm I was drawn to is the dove. The dove traditionally represents peace, compassion, and love. But what I find interesting is where it landed. Right between self-support, emotional well-being, and physical well-being. Almost as if this reading is asking, are you treating yourself with the same kindness you offer everyone else? Because peace is not only something we create with other people. It's something we create within ourselves. This charm feels like a reminder that caring for yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. The second charm is lightning, and lightning always brings change, sudden realizations, sudden awareness. What interests me is that it landed in the lessons area, while it's also touching spirit. This doesn't feel like random disruption. It feels like a lesson that changed someone's understanding of themselves. A moment that may have been uncomfortable at the time, but ultimately became part of their growth. And then we have the triple horn of Odin. A symbol connected with wisdom, understanding, and deeper knowledge. It lands directly between support and family and home, which suggests that wisdom has come through relationships, through people, through learning who truly stands beside you. And perhaps equally important, learning who doesn't. Now let's see what Tarot has to say. The Tower reversed, Nine of Wands reversed, Ten of Cups, the Hidden Network. What thrives above begins below, in quiet unseen places where roots and threads of moss and mushroom entwine. But what is this? A network of care or control? So too in life, not all bonds are visible, but they shape us. Some uplift, some drain. Walk wisely and grow where your roots are met with kindness. The first card is the Tower reversed, and immediately I think back to the lightning charm. Both cards speak about change, about something that can no longer remain the way it was. But because the Tower appears reversed, this doesn't feel like external chaos and feels like internal realization. Something has already changed. The truth has already been seen and the lesson has already arrived. Then we see the Nine of Wands reversed, and this card feels like exhaustion finally being released. A person who has spent a long time standing guard, carrying burdens, staying alert, protecting themselves. But eventually there comes a moment when consistent vigilance becomes its own prison. And this card feels like someone finally lowering the shield. And then arrives the Ten of Cups. What a beautiful destination after the cards that came before it. Because the Ten of Cups is not about surviving. It's about emotional fulfillment, connection, harmony, community. The feeling that you don't have to fight every battle alone. And this Oracle card feels like the key to the entire reading. The Hidden Network. What thrives above begins below. Unseen roots, invisible connections, relationships we don't always notice, but that influence our life every day. Because support doesn't always come in a way that stands out. Sometimes it is the friend who listens, the family member who believes in you, the person who reminds you who you are when you are forgotten. Sometimes support is quiet, invisible, like roots beneath the ground. And that's why the triple horn of Odin feels so important here. Wisdom wasn't gained through isolation. It was gained through experience, through relationships, through understanding what healthy support actually looks like. The dove asks for peace. Lightning speaks for lessons. Odin's horn speaks of wisdom. The Tao reverse says the awakening has already happened. The Nine of Wands reverse says you no longer have to carry everything alone. And the Ten of Cups shows what becomes possible when connection replaces survival. If there is one message in this spread, it is this. Not every strength is meant to be carried alone. Some strengths grow through connection. Some healing happens through support. And some of life's greatest lessons teach us that receiving can be just as important as giving. The hidden network has been there all along. The question is whether you are ready to trust it. Evil eye, new moon. The first thing I notice here is that these two charms landed directly on top of one another. They are interconnected. Their messages cannot really be separated. We have the new moon resting on top of the evil eye. Traditionally, the evil eye is considered a symbol of protection, not fear, protection. It reminds us to stay connected to ourselves when doubt, criticism, or outside influences begin pulling us away from our own path. I wouldn't spend too much time on jealousy or negativity. For this pile, it doesn't feel important. The protection itself feels important. And directly above it sits the new moon, a symbol of new beginnings, new intentions, new possibilities. What I find beautiful is that the new beginning appears protected, almost as though something is creating space for growth before asking you to move forward. The charms landed in release and let go, embrace, and mind. This doesn't feel like a new beginning that starts outside of you. It feels like one that begins within. Something is being released, something is being embraced, and the change begins in the mind before it shows anywhere else. Let's see what Tarot has to say. Justice, Page of Wands, Ace of Cups, Notes from the nesting soul. There is a song only you can hear, quiet, deep, and ancient. It rises from your inner forest, from dreams and stillness and memory. Let yourself listen. Let yourself hum alone. You don't need to be loud to be true. Sometimes the soul sings softest when no one else is listening. Notes from the nesting soul. The first card is justice. Justice is balance, truth, alignment, cause and effect. But what strikes me the most is that justice appears before all other cards, almost as if life is helping someone find equilibrium before opening the next chapter. Because after justice, we see the Page of Wands, the explorer, the messenger, the one willing to step into unfamiliar territory. What I love is the direction of this card. Justice looks to the left, backward. The page looks to the right, forward. Justice acknowledges what has been. Page of Wands asks, what comes next? And then comes the Ace of Cups, the gift. The gift of new emotional energy, the gift of new inspiration, openness. A heart becoming available again. Not because it forgot the past, but because it no longer lives in the past. The Oracle card is called Notes from the Nesting Soul, and even the title feels important. Not commands, not warnings, not instructions, notes. Just observations from the deepest part of yourself, and then the message. There is a song only you can hear. That line is the entire reading. The new moon speaks of the beginnings. The evil eye speaks of protection. Justice speaks of alignment. The Page of Wands speaks of movement. The Ace of Cups speaks of opening. And the nesting soul whispers. You already know. Not logic. Not with a 5-step plan PDF, but deeper than that. If there is one message in this pile, it is this. Your soul has been speaking quietly for a long time, through intuition, through dreams, through repeated thoughts, through gentle nudges you couldn't quite explain. You don't need to force the answer or rush the future. You simply need to listen, because the song is already playing, and part of you has known the melody all along. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and I'll see you in the next reading.